Welcome everyone to my Lich Skeletal Storm Mage build guide. This build is capable of running tier 15 plus maps, handle all the map content, is capable of completing both the Trial of Sekhemas and the Trial of Chaos, and performs pretty well against higher level pinnacle bosses. It's relatively cheap to start, excels in the mid game, and in my variant it's much easier to gear due to Chaos Inoculation removing the need to get Chaos modifiers on gear, which also makes achieving 100 plus rarity that much easier to obtain. So if you enjoy minions and you want a build that is powerful and able to farm a good amount of currency, this is the build for you. Stick around as I explain how to build it. We'll go over the equipment, the gem setup, the passive trees, Ascendancy, and everything you need to know to make the build work. And don't forget, like and subscribe so you can be notified of future build guides. So without further ado, let's get started. First, let's go over how you play it. As you're running through the map, all of the monsters will die behind you. If your loot filter notifies you that something of value has dropped, then you'll go back and pick it up. Otherwise, you'll just be looking to blast through the map. If you find a dense pack of monsters or an elite, you may want to drop a curse to trigger your Rupture the Soul and help clear the enemies. And when you encounter a boss, you will want to buff your minions with Sigil of Power and Pain Offering, and debuff the boss using Conductivity and Voltaic Mark. Now let's go over the recommended gear. For a scepter, you're going to want a Rattling Scepter. The reason for this is because it grants a level 18 Skeletal Warrior minion, which synergizes very well with the Muster Support gem to help increase the damage of our Skeletal Storm Mage. On your scepter, you're going to want to prioritize minion skills, followed by increased spirit, and then any minion damaging modifiers like increased damage, cast speed, and minion critical hit chance. For your offhand, you'll want a Sun Splitter. You want to prioritize having the +3 to the level of lightning spells because our Skeletal Storm Mage has the lightning tag on it. For your helmet, you'll want an energy shield base with +2 levels of minion skills. This is the maximum amount of minion skills you can get on a helmet, and then you'll fill out your attributes and resistances as needed. For an amulet, you'll want to prioritize getting +3 to the level of your minion skills, followed by spirit, and then fill out your attributes and resistances. For your ring, you'll want to fill out your resistances and your attributes, and for your other ring, you'll want a Ventur's Gamble. And the reason for this is to get the additional spirit so that you can acquire an additional minion. For your body armor, you'll look to prioritize getting an energy shield base with as much spirit as possible. And for the other modifiers, you'll look for resistances and attributes. For your gloves, you'll want to prioritize an energy shield base with as many attributes and resistances as possible. For your belt, you'll want to get as many resistances as possible. For your boots, of course, you'll want the maximum amount of movement speed, which is 35. As a general rule, try and get additional rarity of items found on all of your gear pieces, as well as increases to your maximum mana. You'll want additional mana because it synergizes well with our Ascendancy, where we will gain a 4% increased magnitude of our Unholy Might buff for every 100 maximum mana. Next, let's go over our gem setup. Start off by reviewing the Skeletal Warrior. You'll support it with Sacrificial Lamb so that whenever we cast our Pain Offering, it'll prioritize targeting the Skeletal Warrior, leaving one of our Skeletal Mages alone. After Sacrificial Lamb, we'll be using Meat Shield, Death March so whenever the warrior dies, he'll heal their other minions, and then Culling Strike just for the chance at instantly killing an enemy at low HP. Next is the Sigil of Power. We don't have any support gems on it because we're currently using them on other skills. Next is our Skeletal Storm Mage. You'll notice that we're using two different ones. One Skeletal Storm Mage is going to be reserved for our primary source of damage, and the other Skeletal Storm Mage is just for utility to apply shock and increase the magnitude of it, as well as exposure. So for the first Skeletal Storm Mage, we're going to be giving it damaging gems like Feeding Frenzy, Controlling Destruction, Arcane Tempo, Lightning Mastery, and Muster. And the way we get Muster to give it the most amount of damage we can is by utilizing different type of minions. That's why we're using the Rattling Scepter. You get the Skeletal Warrior, that's 1. The other Storm Mage is 2. The Terracotta Soldier is 3. And the Skeletal Cleric is 4. That'll give us a 28% more damage multiplier. And then for our support Skeletal Storm Mage, we're going to be using Conduction to give it an increased chance to shock. We'll increase the magnitude of shock with Overcharge. We'll give it 1 more level just to increase the damage here. And then we'll have Lightning Exposure and Strip Away to increase the effect of the exposure. Next is the Terracotta Soldier. We don't need to put any support gems on it, as it doesn't really do anything other than give us more damage at the cost of 10 spirit. Next is Skeletal Cleric. This is mainly here again to provide an increase to our Skeletal Mages through muster. But while it's on here, we're going to go ahead and make it so it stays alive more often by supporting it with Last Gasp and Ingenuity, so it can cast the Revive spell more often, keeping our Skeletal Mages up more often. Next is Conductivity. We'll be using this to remove the resistances of the bosses. We're going to support that with Cursed Ground, Ritualistic Curse, and Magnified Effect to increase the area of effect, and then Heightened Curse just to increase the magnitude of it. One thing to note with Conductivity is that our weapon set 1 and 2 have different levels of resistance that'll be removed. Our weapon set 2 will take away 52%, while weapon set 1 only has 41. One is to utilize during mapping, and one is to utilize during bossing. Next is Pain Offering. This is a big source of our damage. We're going to support that with Ablation to increase the effect of it, as well as Dense Macabre at the cost of 1 additional minion being sacrificed. We want Persistence to increase the duration of it, and then Elemental Army to make sure that the Pain Offering stays alive as long as possible. If you notice over here, the resistances of it is not even capped, even with this. We just want to give it the most amount of chance to be able to stay alive. Next is Voltaic Mark. We only use this on bosses, and it's just so we have a higher chance to apply shock and increase the effect of the shock. On our weapon set 2, we're going to have Convalescence, and that is so that we can get our energy shield recharging quickly. We're going to support it with Energy Barrier and Second Wind, so that we have 2 different charges. And then lastly, we're going to have Blink, just so that we can get around some troublesome terrain and get through the maps faster. For our Ascendancy, we'll be looking to pick up Necromantic Conduit to give all of our minions Unholy Might. This is giving all of our minions 30% of damage as extra as chaos damage. We're going to further the magnitude of the Unholy Might buff by 4% per 100 maximum energy by taking Blackened Heart. Next, we'll grab Rupture the Soul. This will make it so all the enemies that we curse have a chance to explode for 1/4 of their health. This is helpful in high dense scenarios like Breach. And then lastly, we're going to take the second jewel here. You're going to want to slot in as many minion damaging modifiers as possible, or as many defensive modifiers, or a combination of both. For your passive skills, I really want to talk to you about the logic and give you my reasonings for my decisions. That way, if you ever want to modify the tree, you'll be in a better position to do so. So when I was building it, the first thing I did is wanted to increase my minion damage as high as possible. So the first thing we're going to want to do is identify where all of the damaging minion nodes are. They're going to be right here coming up the middle. There's some over here in this cluster here, here, down to bottom, on the left side over here, up top, and then some crit damage nodes right here, and finally here. So when I was going around the passive tree, picking up nodes, I prioritized my minion damage and then spirit, just like you would your gear. After that, I picked up any defensive nodes I could in the form of Energy Shield, which I picked up here in Enhanced Barrier, Dampening Shield, Patient Barrier, and then I also wanted to pick up some Stun Threshold and some Elemental Threshold, which we can pick up here at Dampening Shield and Eldritch Will. And this makes it so that we're not getting frozen, we're not getting stunned as often. And with this level of increased Energy Shield, we're going to be sitting at a healthy 7,894. Of course, this number can go higher. As soon as I get a few more points, I'll be looking to grab possibly this wheel down over here, or this wheel over here. Being careful not to take heavy buffer, as we are playing with CI. We only have 1 health. And then we get Chaos Inoculation, which is an important part of the build. In the last patch that came out, they buffed Chaos Inoculation, changing the way it works by adding immunity to bleeding as well as chaos damage. Right now in the current state of the game, there is a lot of random chaos damage you can easily die to. as well as bleed. Bleed quickly becomes a problem when you're buffing up your maps or playing Simulacrum. If the map modifiers have a lot of crit multi, increased damage, and then you get bled, the damage can be substantial, bringing you down a lot. Also, if you're playing on the Atlas tree with a lot of increased effect to your tablet precursor or your modifiers, you have a chance at hitting increased bleed or increased poison or increased crit with some kind of mixture, and chaos can quickly become out of control as well as bleeding. And chaos inoculation makes it so that you don't have to worry about any of that. I would argue it's better than getting more shield or getting a little bit more life, and it's a staple of the build. Another thing I want you to look at is the nodes on here that make it so that we revive minions faster, as well as give the minions increased life. If your minions don't have increased life, you'll find that they die quite often. This is one of the complaints I hear all the time. So if you look at our Skeletal Storm Mage here, they have 8,567 health, which is a considerable amount. And then if you have them qualityed over here, they gain 20% of their maximum life as energy shield. This makes them quite tanky, and so I don't find them dying very often. So if you wanted to, you could reduce some of these nodes and take less minion life and instead put it into some more defenses like increased energy shield. But in my testing, the few nodes that I do have on here make it so that the downtime of my skeletal mages is almost zero. They hardly ever die. The only times they really do die is during bosses, if I allow them to get slammed and don't reposition them by swapping to my weapon set 2. So as long as you reposition them and don't get hit by a big slam, you should be fine. And the last thing I'll leave you with is the weapon sets here. On your weapon set 1, you'll want to put a lot of your minion health or your minion damage nodes on your weapon set 1, because that's what you'll be primarily using to do damage. And then on your weapon set 2, you'll be looking to take primarily these curse clusters here. We want increased magnitude, and then get as much area of effect and skill effect duration as possible. As when we swap over, we'll be looking to cast Sigil of Power and our conductivity, and we don't want to have to cast those often. So having a larger area of effect and duration really helps out. And then when we're fighting on our main set, we're just hitting Pain Offering and Voltaic Marg, so their 8 seconds kind of match up here. And that's everything on the passive tree. For Anoint, there isn't like a smoking gun, one point that's insanely good for the build. You could take any of these energy shield nodes. Some of them are a little bit more expensive than others. Currently right now, I just have the Ancient Aegis because it was very cheap and it gives me like an additional 400 energy shield, but you can play with other nodes. There is a node down over here at the bottom called Long Distance Relationship that you can consider. It'll give you 30% increased presence area of effect. And that's pretty much it. And now that you know how it works, how it plays, and how to build it for yourself, I'll leave you with a few clips of me playing the build so you can get a better idea of the playstyle, how it handles, and to decide for yourself if this is something you'd like to play. Enjoy. And that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can be notified whenever I make new build guides. And you can always watch me playing these builds live on Twitch and YouTube. Hop on, say hi, ask questions. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.